welcome back to Soccer Supernova, a state of mind's dedicated football chat show with me, Amy Canavan. Today I am absolutely delighted to be joined by a Clydebank legend, there's no other way of putting it, and GERRY MCCABE. GERRY, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
Fine, Amy. Yeah, fine. I'm just twiddling my thumbs at times. No, thing what to do, you know, we just been out football, it's the coaching side just now, but apart from that, you know, everything's okay.
Twiddling your thumbs after about 43 seasons in football, something like that?
Yeah, I think up until about 2 or 3 seasons ago, I think it was the first pre-season I'd missed, and maybe 40 odd year.
How does that feel, you know, when the fixtures are coming round again in pre-season? You know in your head it should be starting around that time of year. That must be tricky.
Yes, it was difficult at first, you know. Then I'm saying, well, you have to get your head around it. Maybe I'm saying at the time, the break came at the right time, I needed a wee break, but when you're out, it doesn't matter, maybe even a month, you know, you start to miss it and you say, no, this is not me, you know, I'd rather be in the training ground and, you know, back involved with the club, some club in some capacity, you know, that's the way I was looking at it. But then I had to take a wee step back and say to myself, no, look, take a break when you get it, you know, you might get a chance to get back in, hopefully you get a chance back in. So while you're out, I spoke to a few guys who'd been through the same sort of rigmarole as myself, and they're saying, take a break when you get it. But it all depends how you feel about it, you know. Some people were happy with the break. I wasn't, say I was happy at first, but I accepted it. But then I was getting a wee bit, you know, itchy feet, trying to get back in, but that's the way it goes.
After 40 odd seasons, it has to, you know, the constant has to be the love of the game. So where did the love of the game first begin for you? Where was the kind of dream to be a footballer growing up in Hamilton?
Yeah, I think just at school, playing football every day, you know, we weren't, I wasn't too academic, just couldn't wait till playtime and dinner time till we get the baseball boots on, or the whatever we had, and up at that, we used to just play football every day, you know, every school, you know, even my friends at other schools that were saying the same, you know, it's great, just we're playing football a day, and there used to be classes, like we were room maybe 10, we're playing room 11, and then when the bell would ring, you know, you didn't want to leave the wee pitch you had, because you knew somebody would run up and score a goal, score one, and everybody was, you know, the teachers out dragging you in, so to speak, saying, playtime's over, you know. But I think that's where I learned it. Then, even after school, when you go home, the first thing you do is take off your school clothes and get over the park and playing, just maybe start off with 5 aside and they end up with about 10 aside, 15 aside. Everybody wants to join in.
Joins.
Yeah, and it was just one big area. You just played football, you know, and everybody, that was our entertainment, you know. And at the time, there wasn't obviously what's going on now with the kids with computers and things like that. You just made your own entertainment, and it was always football with us, even gate to gate in the street, because there wasn't many cars in the street at the time, and playing the Kirby, you know, with the ball. It was always a ball, you know, and always somebody had the ball. That is, so for me, growing up, that's where, you know, we say later on when you do go on to play maybe amateur, junior or professional level, that everybody will say that's where they get a bit streetwise and learn their football over the park or in the street.
Was making a career in football a supported decision? You know, back in the day it was always about like getting a trade behind you and all those sort of things, but a career in football, was it a supported move?
It was always a dream, so to speak. Yeah, I would always love to have, when I'm saying got into a team, you know, when I say young, I was young when I was playing, but there wasn't a lot of boys clubs around about academies. There were no academies. So you either went from playing school to, you know, if you get noticed at school, there was a few clubs who came in for you, or you went into an amateur side. And that's what I done. I went through probably the amateur side. A few of my mates went to three brothers, went to school with Jim Boyd, George Boyd and William Boyd, and the three of them went. One went to Crystal Palace, one went to Leeds, and one went to Doncaster, I think it was, in the school. And I'm not saying you thought you'd missed out, but I started playing amateur at 15, 16, and, you know, you're playing with men. And the reason I got into amateur, I was walking through the park and I knew the guys who run it. I was going up to watch the game, and they were short of men. So they asked me if I wanted a game, me and my friend. And I says, I'm looking at these guys, and we're playing against the best team in the league at the time. And I'm going, that's men. And he goes, come on, we're short of men. And honestly, we get beat 5-0. We played with the best team in the league. We beat 5-0. But I really enjoyed it, right? Yeah. And I'm saying, this is great. because, you know, you're playing against older men, but they couldn't catch you, something, you
caught a
know.
bug, aye.
But if they did catch you, they caught you, you know. So then they asked me, says, would you like to sign? I says, I fancy it. Come on, just see how it goes. And I was there a season, then I went junior, you know. Things was quite fortunate at that time, you know. Walking through the park to, you know, to my friends and get a chance to play. As much as I always played, but this was my first really game at a level, you know, where it was quite competitive. And from there on, I just went junior. And when I went, I was a club called Tolstar, who was my amateur side, the local, and a few guys, John Brogan, who went to St John's and the guys like that played there before me. And they had a good sort of a name for, you know, it was quite a bit of a hotbed from Hamilton area, you know. And I went junior, then the following season I was getting, clubs were coming to watch me. I scored a few goals and I was just enjoying the football, you know. I wasn't, it's not as if I was going out there and saying I better impress you. I was playing with a couple of good friends I knew and other guys I'd met and with not a bad side. And then I was saying such and such is looking at you, such and such is coming to watch you today, and I'm like that. And my dad was he watched me from school everywhere, you know, and he used to walk from Hamilton to Hart Hill on a Saturday morning. He used to leave at 8 in the morning to come and watch me just playing, you know. That was how, you know, then he was taking right interest in that because he thought I had a wee chance. And Hibs came in, and well, I had a choice at the time. I didn't know at the time that Celtic had been watching me.
Right.
And I was supposed to go and try with Celtic, and for some reason it never happened. The first, I don't know, it never happened. So I thought I'd lost my chance, and Hibs had come in for me. So at the time, Jock Stein had been in a car crash, and it was Sean Fallon who was caretaker manager. And I was supposed to play a trial match on the Tuesday night at Fir Park, and I always remember it. And Hibs wanted me through on the Monday to sign, but at the time there were no agents, and there was one experienced player I knew, a friend of mine, and I wanted him to come with me just to give me a wee bit of advice. But the board at the time, Paul Kemet Jr. said, "No, everything will be okay. Let's get through. You'll be fine. And my dad's last words when I left the house to get through, because I wanted my dad to come, but they wouldn't allow him to come with me. And he says, "Don't you be signing anything, right? Remember, you've got a trial tomorrow night with Celtic." And I goes, "Don't worry, Dad, I'll not be signing." So I went through there, and they talked to me, because they offered me a concrete contract.
Right, yep.
And what was going through my head at the time, Amy, I'm saying to myself, I could knock this back here and go out to Celtic tomorrow night and it might not happen, you know. And so I was caught, and I signed
How
the
old were
contract.
you at this time? Sorry,
I was 18, just 17, 18. I was quite late actually, 18, because I was playing junior for, I think it was 2 seasons with junior, but 18. And I'm saying to myself, right, well, that's me, I'm going to go full-time football. So I was delighted with that. But I was dreading to go back to tell my dad, you know, because he was like,
"Don't sign."
Don't sign. So when we walked back into the house, you know, at that time there was no mobile phones and nothing like that. And my dad's looking at me, he goes like, "Hey, you didn't sign, did you?" I'm looking at him, he says, "I did sign, Dad." He goes, "Celtic's just off the phone now." You know, they say, "Celtic's just off the phone. You to report at 6:30 tomorrow at Fir Park." He says, "So you better phone them and tell them." And I didn't know what to do, you know. And I think it was John Clark. I'm sure it was John Clark. It was Sean Fallon. So I turned up phone saying, "Look, I went and signed with Hibs." They says, "Okay, right, it's just a pity, you know, just I'd like to have seen you in the game tomorrow." And my dad, I think he says to me, "I always wanted to see you playing the green and white, son, but
No, Hibs.
it was a hoops." So anyway, but then he came round and he goes like, "Hey, look, good, right, professional football, you've got a chance." And so from there on, but unfortunately, I enjoyed it great at Hibs, you know. I'm training, I'm getting up in the morning, going through to training, I'm training with guys like Pat Stanton, John Blackley, John Brownlee, internationals, you know, and I'm like,
Really strong Hibs side at the time.
oh, they were very strong. Alec Edwards, what a player he was, and just to be in the same training ground with him, and Tony Higgins, guys like that, met a lot of great guys, you know. And then I started to settle in and felt I had a chance here, and I was doing well in the reserves, scoring a few goals. and I thought I'd get a chance, but Eddie Turnbull was a manager at the time. But Eddie, you know, he had a strong side, and it had been very difficult, and you had to have a few injuries, and I think once or twice I was close to getting in, but I never got in. And at the end of that season, he released me. And at the time, you know, what was going through my head, I says, I should have took my chance with Celtic, I should have done this, but you know. But when I look back on it, my career probably would have went the same way, you know, because these guys, the experience I got with these guys was just, you know, and I still keep in touch with a lot of them.
Yeah.
You know, still great friends with a lot of them. We Pat Carroll was with them last week, and these guys who come through, and Pat and that, they were just ahead of me in the Hibs team at the time. He was a young boy, but they end up getting freed as well. They get released, but what happened when I get released? Celtic came in for me again. It was an under-19 tournament to go down to Manchester, but I was just too old, just over that. But I played in the game at Barrafield, and when I was playing in the game, I thought I'd done okay, but it was Benny Rooney was taking it, and Benny says, look, I'd like to take you down to a tournament, but I think it was a month or two. But see, for the experience, and plus I met Kenny Dalglish first time ever. He was in the dressing room. It was the time Celtic went away to Australia, and Kenny stayed behind because he was going to Liverpool a couple of days, and I was like, oh, you know, at least I met Kenny. Yeah, you know, because Kenny was my idol. And I'm saying, well, at least I get that chance. And I thought, I'm saying to myself, right, it's gone now, Celtic, just forget it, you know. And I went away to Canada. For 6 months, and I just thought I needed to get away and try and resurrect my career. You know, I know saying, right, you're going away from Scotland, you know, and people think you've left, and that's true. But a great experience over there. It was the next two ex-Hearts guys, Jim Townsend, who played with Hearts, and Ian Snedden, and they were in charge of the team, and Ian was over as well, just playing. He was player coach, and I went over there, and I come back 6 months later. It was what a fantastic experience, and Craig Brown signed me for Clyde.
Yeah. Before we get to Clyde, how did they sell Canada to you though? Because it's tricky. Obviously, you do choose Hibs over Celtic. It doesn't work out at Hibs. Was there concerns for you that you thought, is my career actually going to kick off here?
Yeah.
Then, like you say, not perhaps regret, but you think, God, if I'd just played that game for Celtic,
yeah,
I'd just listened to my dad, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So how does Canada get sold to you?
What it was, when I was too old for the under-19 tournament to go out to Manchester with Celtic, Benny Rooney, who was taking him, and Benny Rooney was good friends with Jim Townsend. I think they played at Morton together, and he said, look, there's a chance I can get you over to Canada, would you take it? And I wasn't long married, and my daughter was only a few months old, and I'm saying, what do I do here? I mean, did I just stay and try and get a job and just maybe get in part-time somewhere, or just take the chance? And I think because I was a wee bit maybe hurt at leaving Hibs, I wanted to go and prove myself. And I says, well, look, I might not get this chance again. And my dad was out behind me. He was, look, I would take the chance. I would just go, you know, it's a great opportunity for you. And when I went at the first few weeks, even were terrible. You know, I was just so homesick because I was still young. You know, I was only 19, 20 then. Then they were coming up for 20. Something like that. And I'm saying to myself, what am I doing? You know, I'm away the other side of the world, you know, family back home. And again, I was staying in this motel, and nobody there, and I didn't know anyone. And my dad, I used to phone home, my dad, I said, Dad, I'm going to get a flight home, I don't know, I'll be able to handle it out here. He says, look, everybody's asking, they're all asking how you're getting on. I'm saying you're doing well, so just stay there. You'll be okay. And so anyway, it was a boy, Ian Snedden, who him and his wife and his daughter were over there. They says, look, you're not happy up in the motel, we've got a base and we can come and stay with us. And then I went down there, I said, right, I'll try it. And after that I settled in, because I felt as if I was at home. I was in a house with, you know, Ian and his wife and his daughter and that. So I felt as if I had people around about me. Yeah. And I started to settle in, and after that I enjoyed it so much. You know, the football, we travelled about all over Canada. And when they say the standard was, it was maybe championship here. Right. You know, maybe below, but a lot of foreign players played. A lot of Brazilians and played. It was taken off the Canadian Soccer League, and I stayed there for 5-6 months, and then when I came home, I said I hadn't a club because it was on the summer season.
Absolutely.
So I said, I can't wait till next summer to go over. You know what I'm saying? I need to do something.
Yeah.
And my friend, Jim Boyd, who had come up from Crystal Palace, it was with Clyde, and he says, Craig Brown wants to speak to you when I come in for training. I says, I'll tell you, that before that, East Stirling, Billy Lamont.
Right.
Billy Lamont was the manager, and he asked me to come in and I played a trial match. I had 3 trial matches to play, and I played one, and we beat Stranraer 3-2. And I scored with a header, which is never happens. Don't even head of the ball. So anyway, and we won 3-2, and they asked me to sign. But my mate, he says, Craig Brown wants to speak to you because Clyde and Stranraer were fighting for that league to see who won that league. Well, they were the favourites between the two of them. So Craig says, you're coming to us. And I says, well, come into training. And my mate was there. And to be fair, I appreciate, you know, the opportunity he's still at the time, but Craig Brown, when Craig started to speak to me, I knew, you know, how highly he was thought of, and I signed, and we won the league that year, and we beat Stranraer in goal difference that year.
Did you?
And now, and ironic when you look back at it, it was a game I played maybe in October, November, and we a trial match, and we had East Stirling had beat Stranraer. I think we beat Stranraer that day. And that's what probably we won as a league that year. We won the league, but don't get me wrong, it was Clyde, I thought, were the better side, with better players. But when Craig came in and started to speak to me, you know, I knew that's where I wanted to be. And I think from there, I really knew I had a chance maybe going playing at a higher level, you know, another level again after that. Because I was always going from Hibs reserves to Canadian football, whereas I was always wanting to prove myself, but yet I could do it. And obviously grateful to Clyde and Craig, you know, for giving me that opportunity.
And obviously you were Craig's first signing as a manager, so it was his first job at Clyde. Obviously Craig Brown as the player, that the name speaks for itself as well. So how did they kind of sell it as a managerial point of view, because this was all just new to him as well?
I think when we went in, you know, the ambitions, Craig being the you know, the type of person he was, and he was a very good speaker, you know, Craig, and says, well, this is when we try to, you know, we win this league, you know, things could really take off in here. And it all the reputation. You had guys like Stevie Archibald was there.
Yep.
Stevie was there playing at Clyde at the time. We Jerry Marshall, a lot of good players. Rob Ferris, Brian Ahern.
Still there.
Yeah.
Neil Hood, was he still there?
Nearly.
Yep.
Yeah, Nearly was there. And, you know, I'm saying, that's a right good side here.
Aye.
My mate as well was in there. He was a centre half, Jim Boyd. And I thought, looking at, you know, the players he had and the experienced players and the few good young boys, and I'm saying, probably this is the place to really kickstart my career again and try and, you know, establish yourself and see how, you know, how I could go to that next level. And I says, and the more good players you play with, the better chance you've got. And after I played my first couple of games with Clyde, you know, I really settled in. I loved the place, loved the fans, and it was great for my dad. He was just up my hill, you know, didn't have to walk to Hart Hill and things, just walked to Rutherglen.
Easy.
But aye, and he settled. I think it was the right place at the right time, and my mate still takes all the credit for it. He says it was me that kick-started your career.
Obviously.
Cost me a few bob and beer, you know. But
You've mentioned the names that Craig Brown kind of inherited, and then you brought in yourself and a few others as well. But in that title-winning campaign, there was only 20 players used as a whole, which, going by your expression, there you go. But do you think, obviously, that's a totally different... That actually can't even be imagined nowadays. You know, it's all about big squads. But that was really just a team. You know, that's only 9 guys not playing at that one time.
Yeah.
So do you think that unity perhaps helped in the league win, but for you as well, because this was your chance again in the senior game in Scotland?
Yeah, I think you're right. You've done your homework there. You know, I thought actually, because I thought we had a big squad, but you've got to remember there was a reserve football there at the time as well.
Aye.
So, which was players were kept regularly playing, and the players weren't injured as much as I feel they're injured now. You know, I look at players now and I'm saying, how can it be that so long? And I'm saying, we wanted to play.
Aye.
You know, they just strapped us up. I'm saying, because you knew if you're out of the team, That was you could find
Not
yourself
getting back
difficult to get back in because everybody was wanting to play. Guys weren't happy if they were sitting up a stand, but I feel a lot of players feel like, I'm sitting up a stand, I'm okay, get my wages and that. Aye. Whereas that's what we trained all week, 2 nights a week we trained in, but we all wanted to play, and everybody, you could see it in the training, everybody wanted to be in the starting 11. You hated getting took off, you hated being on the bench, and I think it was just you had the right core, maybe as you said, 17, 18 players, maybe that. Everybody wanted to be in that first team and playing. A couple of younger boys come in and they get introduced if there are any injuries, but they knew as well, as soon as if the experienced players were back, they would be back in the team. But as the season went on, and you're thinking, if we get many injuries, and I think we were quite lucky, quite fortunate, we didn't have that many injuries, and any injuries we did have, maybe a week or 2 at the most. Nobody was out for a length of time unless it was a broken leg or something like that, So the continuity we had, and the players were a close knit, and I think you could see that for a lot of teams at the time because they didn't have big squads, but and I think maybe that helped us that year because it was regular goal scorer. Although we lost, would you call him Stevie Archibald? Stevie went to Aberdeen around about January. I think he scored the winner against Queen's Park at Hampden in the 1st of January, I remember it, and Stevie signed for Aberdeen the 2nd of January. So we lost him, but guys like, Gerry Marshall, who was a good striker, nearly, and that, guys come in. And you always, I think Craig was the attraction as well. He could attract players, and he knew, if they had to sell them on, they'd move on because every club, needed the money at the time.
Absolutely. How much do you owe to Craig Brown? I know you're pal as well, but how much do you owe to Craig Brown?
Oh, look, I could, although I always says Craig was my first real manager in football.
Right.
Although Eddie Turnbull signed me, and was a great coach, Eddie at Hibs, and well thought of, but I didn't really have a connection with, he didn't speak to you much. He didn't. He was more interested in the first team, which is fine, but whereas I had this sort of friendship, you could call it friendship, but Craig was always good at talking to you, he'd always and he'd a sort of a hard side to him as well, let you know if he wasn't happy with certain things and that, but he knew how to get the best out of players, and and I think everybody appreciated the way he is, and you see him now, every time I meet him and and we'd start talking about the Clyde days. We went to Wembley with all the boys and that, and he was one he loved sort of a family orientated, within the club, within the team as well. And I think a lot of people could turn around and say they owe Craig Brown a lot for their careers, and I'm certainly one of them.
Absolutely. Yeah. You scored against Clydebank. Do you think that ignited your move?
Might have. Yeah. How did you know that?
One
of my rare goals.
Was that a header?
No, never a header. I'll tell you, I remember how it happened. There was a guy called John Brogan who played right back, and he got forward and he cut the ball across the face of goal, and Jimmy Given actually cut it out, and it just fell when I hit it outside my foot low into the big Jim Gallagher's bottom hand corner, his left hand corner, and we won 1-0. And I was delighted. Obviously, I was delighted when I scored because I didn't score that many. And when I joined Clydebank, I used to remember Jimmy. I think you set up my goal. Maybe probably you get the move. I'm sure it was you cut the ball out and it fell to me. And he did remember it. And Big Gal goes like, I should have moved quicker to get down. I said, but I was in the net, Gal, And maybe that did, because I think I went with the Scotland semi-pro at the end of that season, and Bill Monroe was in charge. And I didn't know it was interesting. I had a good tournament over. I think we won it. Yeah, we won that tournament. And then when I come back, I started pre-season with Clyde, and Craig Brown says, Clydebank, I've come in for you. Nothing happened over there, I know about because I played the 3 games to require, so he picked me, so I thought, you liked me, so when I come back and Craig says to me, Clydebank, I put a bid in for you. And I says, all right. I said, I'm quite happy here, But then, obviously, things just moved quite quickly. And Craig says he was up at the coaching course in Inverclyde, and Jack Stevie came onto the training ground and gave him a cheque for me. So that's what he told me. He says, so I've got the cheque now, you need to move.
Club record fee, £55,000. A lot of money back in the day.
Yeah, I was arguing with boys were saying 50 and I was saying, no, I think it was 60, you know. So we went,
Keep adding.
went in the middle, it was 55. Yeah, it was at the time, yeah, it was quite a lot of money. And I think the club at the time needed to sell, you know. I think Craig was, as much as I think we'd love to have kept me, but it was always my ambition to try, you know, Clyde would get into when we get into the championship and saying, fine, you know, if I'm here, I'm here. But if somebody else came in and I got the opportunity, well, the club needed the money, I wanted the money, I'd just go along with it. And Clydebank, I thought, were a right good side. Yeah. Davy Cooper, God rest him, Davy just left, and he left in 78, I think, Davy, and I went in the 80. And funny enough, me and Davy played together in the Hamilton District School team.
Wow.
And Davy was a midfield player at the time, and I was a winger.
Right.
When we played with the, that's true. And when we played in the Hamilton District side together, and when Davy went professional, he became a winger, and I became a midfield player. I mean, I didn't, and Davy wasn't the paciest, you know, but the trick obviously could deliver. But when he played in the midfield with Hamilton District, it was superb pass. You see at that age, you know, what a good player this boy was.
Going right to the top. He was going right to the top.
Oh, definitely. Then when I thought maybe that's the pathway to go, Clydebank, then I might get a chance again. You know, with no disrespect to Clydebank, one of the bigger clubs. And it nearly came along a couple of times.
We'll definitely come on to them, but you are without doubt a Clydebank legend in the Hall of Fame and all that jazz that comes with it. But it wasn't the easiest start for you at Clydebank. So does that demoralise you as well? You've moved from the comfort zone of Clyde, where you were happy with a great manager, a proper man manager behind you, but things didn't start off quite so well.
That's right. I found it quite difficult to settle in at first, you know, and I know they'd paid that money for me, but I wasn't really thinking about the money. I was more interested that Bill Monroe had, you know, put his faith in me and he came there, and we did struggle. I did struggle for maybe even half a season anyway, at least. And I remember Bill saying to me, just go and play your natural game. You know, I was trying too hard, and you know, I felt comfortable with all the players, good players there, very good players. But I'm saying maybe you know, this is a higher level, a better level, you know. But I fitted in at the training, and I felt, you know, I didn't feel out at you, but I'm just saying these guys are producing consistently. Whereas I was playing below par. I was definitely felt I wasn't at my best, you know, when I first went there. So I says, I just need to keep believing myself, keep working. But unfortunately, Bill left.
Yep.
And the week he left, I scored against Raith Rovers. We won 4-1 or something, 4. And for there, but to be fair, before Bill left, he says, look, I brought you here because, you know, the type of player you are, and this club suits you. So you go out and prove me right and how good I was, how good you can be. And I says, I was a wee bit distraught that I'd maybe let Bill down, you know. But Sam Henderson was there with him, and Sam used to chat to me, you know, come in and Sam believed me, and Sam really liked, you know, the type of player I was. And for some reason, it just sort of changed, and I started to show what I could do, you know. But before that, you know, I felt, did I make the right move? And, you know, you're always questioning yourself. But as I said, I was more disappointed about leaving.
Absolutely. And then that second season, things do start to go a little bit smoother. But back in the day when it was, well, Division 1, you know, there was Motherwell, Hearts, Kilmarnock. Right. It was a really, really competitive division. And it was tough to be at the top.
Well, Clydebank were only probably one of the part-time clubs there. Yep. We were part-time. But with many good players, you know, I think before that, just saw guys like Mickey Larnott, you know, Frank McDougall, all these guys come through the ranks, and top players to play, you know, going, and the careers I've had. And, you know, Jack, they always say Jack had an eye for players and that, and I'm saying, the question is either now, with signing me. But it was difficult. As I say, Motherwell full time, and Hearts, and a lot of big players played with them at the time, and a lot of, you know, they'd probably bigger bigger fan clubs than us. Base, you know, the fans that they had, they used to travel in numbers, and they used to sell out Tynecastle, and for part they used to have maybe 7 or 8,000, maybe 10,000. Whereas we had a couple of thousand fans at home, but didn't really make any difference. They were so loyal. They went everywhere. They went to the away games and whatever. But maybe the problem we'd have, we had a few injuries, you know, we'd be able to cope with it, because when you know, when you're playing against these teams, you need to be on form, and they'd have to be off a wee bit of form. But I must admit, every time we played Hearts and that, we always gave them a game. They always, you know, for some reason they didn't like playing against us. We held our own, but I think that year we didn't go up. We missed out, and we sold our two best players, strikers, Bobby Williams and Tommy Coyne.
Yep.
So I was a wee bit up my arms about that, because I says, well, I want to leave. You know, I'm going in there and I'm looking at Jack, and I says, well, there's a transfer. I'm on away, they're away. You know, why keep me? You know, and selling them. He says, you want to build a team here and win the league, and I said, well, we can knock back the money. So he just goes, like, never you looked at it, he just tore it up. So that was me there, and I says, well, what's happening? He said, well, we'll build a team again, and we'll get, you know, and we finished second. I don't think we won the league. I think St Johnstone won the league, but we get promoted into the top league, you probably know. And I felt, you know, well, we equipped to get into, you know, but we all wanted to be there.
Yeah.
We all wanted to be in the top league, and we knew we'd players, and the club were maybe talking about going full time, but never ever happened, you know, never. And I think the first year we're up, relegation was avoided for some reason. I think they were trying to reconstruction. Yeah, you're right. So we stayed up. This is right. We're still in the league for another season now, so we're on looking for a pay rise. Says no, it doesn't happen. But we knew it was going to be difficult because we were the part-time club and, you know, a full-time league. But there was still some top players, and I mean, I think they sold Bobby Williams to the Rangers for 100,000. Tommy to Dundee United for about 60,000. But Jack was good at that, you know, he was good at selling players and getting money, but for some reason they just, if we'd have got a chance to go full time, I thought it would have been more attractive and would have stood more of a chance. But Mark Traynor, guys like that, they went to St Johnstone, went to bigger clubs. Jerry Ronald, who I thought was a fantastic player, just ability second to none. I think Jerry was maybe quite happy playing when he was. He ended up going to Morton. Then, if I'm going to be honest here, I think as much as I was there, I think it was 7 seasons I was there, Amy, but I think I overstayed. I think I was interested. Celtic were coming in for his Davy Hayne and all this, yeah, and so that was me way up again.
Yeah.
Anyway. It was a time when I was really probably hit my peak, and it didn't happen for some. Yeah, and Mullow tried to sign me the day we were the first game of the season in the SPL, the Premier League, whatever we call it at the time. Mullow, we were going against Mullow to play the first game at Fir Park, and Mullow were on the verge of selling Gary McAllister and Ali Mauchline to Leicester City. Right. So Tommy McLean had come in and asked me to sign. I says, well, we need to go through the club, you know. And he says, well, I hadn't signed a new contract. But for some reason they didn't want to go to tribunal at the time. They thought Mr. Steedman had people in high places and they would get treble the money and all this. So that it never materialised. Then Hibs came back in for John Black was the manager at the time, so I was through speaking to them. Yeah. And Kenny Waugh, I think, was the chairman at the time. And again, went through there and no mobile phones, so I'm sitting through there waiting to go and sign my Hibs. And they says, look, the chairman's got the wind up on my wee bit. He says he's no one to take a chance and go to a tribunal with you because Mr. Steedman, I've got I'm through here now. I says, I think I was 28, 29 at the time, and I'm saying, you don't have to pay much for me, you know. And he says, well, they don't want to take that chance. So I left Hibs, come back through, and John Black apologised. You know, John was desperate to sign me because he'd seen me at first time when I was first through, and he was disappointed. I was disappointed. And then when I went back to Clydebank, Mr. Steedman was disappointed. He says, now I've got a disappointed player who thought he was signing with Hibs and it's fell through. but I didn't. I just got on with it. But then I knew maybe after that season, if its time was coming to an end for me at Clydebank, and as I says, maybe I stayed 1 or 2 seasons too long. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, I could have maybe missed the boat in getting the move. A move I thought not just deserved, but I'd have loved at the time, you know, to go to a club that was going to challenge and that. We always seem to be, you know, and don't get me wrong, I think Clydebank, we punched above our weight many a season. We beat Rangers, you know, we've run Celtic close a few times, beat Aberdeen, beat Dundee United in the League Cup. You know, we could do it in one-off games like that. You know, we could rise to the occasion. I just felt, you know, we're always
bridesmaid and never the bride.
Exactly. You could have put it in. I could have put it any better.
The reason, obviously, Clydebank wanted you to stay for so long is that time in the First Division as well. I think you won 4 First Division Player of the Years.
3, I think.
3? Was it 3? The first one, and then did you know win 3 in a row?
I won 3 in a row.
You won 3 in a row, but then what about the first one up against Pat Niven?
I know that was the first.
Mo Johnston's.
Yeah, that was the first time I won. I think I won it. I won it 82, 83, 83, 84, 84, 85. I think. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, and Pat was in it and Mo.
Yeah.
What a good company. You know?
But good company.
Look where they went.
Exactly. So when you're seeing those kind of guys you're up against as well, was it Donald Park was the last one as well?
Donald Park, yep. Wee Donald,
That is top class. So as you're saying, you know, the big moves, and the big moves came for Tommy Coyne, who you were playing with, Bobby Williamson, Mike Conroy was there as well at the time. Did you kind of feel like, we're saying Clydebank were, you know, bridesmaid, never the bride. Did you sometimes feel bridesmaid, never the bride?
Yeah, and I felt, you know, as much as I love my football there, and, you know, I'd say I don't know whether the winning the Player of the Years went against me a wee bit.
Right.
Because it gave Jack a wee bit, you know, well, I've got the First Division Player of the Year here. I could get this for him, I could get that for him.
Yeah.
You know, and as much it was great, you know, individually winning those, but, you know, obviously the team, I could never have done it without the team. And I started to think, you know, is this what's keeping me here? Am I here because, you know, I'm sort of a fixture in the team and playing every week, or is Jack, you know, is he pricing me out of the game? And that sort of was questioning things like that. And all these things I was saying, because and a lot of the players I spoke to played with so-called bigger clubs, kept saying, why you not get a move? Why you not coming here? Why, you know? And as much as I'm saying, well, I'd love to be going challenging, we're playing in a cup final, you know, going challenging for the league, and whether it'd been good or not, I don't know, but I'd love to have had the chance to go and prove myself that I could be, you know, because I'd played against these guys and always held my own, and I knew I'd always believed in my ability, but to be able to play in maybe a Dundee United, Aberdeen, you know, well, Celtic, like that, you know, would have been able to produce that consistently, and I thought, I think I would have. I'd have relished the challenge. Yeah. I had the chance to do it, you know, I'd have certainly do it. But I could say that about a few players at Clydebank I thought were good enough. Jimmy Fallon was probably one of the best centre-backs I've played alongside. Not the biggest, read the game great. Maury a sweeper, as we were talking about earlier. Yeah. But great. And Jimmy was here 15 years. And I'm saying, 15 years, Jimmy? I've got another 7, 8 to go here. But Jimmy was one of these guys who could go and play at top level. Jim Gallagher, the goalkeeper, fantastic. We went away the semi-pro tournament. Jock Stein actually said at the time, if he was with a bigger or a more fashionable club, he'd have been in the Scotland squad, you know. And you're saying to yourself, well, how did these guys not move, not get the move, and that? Were they quite just happy and content? Which I don't know. I think if the right offer would have come in, maybe Jack would have took it. But I've no regrets. I know I might think the way I'm sounding as if I wanted to leave there. Never ever indicated. Well, I did indicate once he sold Bobby and Tommy. I says, no, I need to get out of here. But I must say I spent the best part of my career in playing football with Clydebank.
Absolutely.
You know, although Craig and Clyde gave me the chance, but that was my best spell. And I wish I did. The only thing I say, well, very regrets. I'd have loved to have got the chance to go and maybe test myself at a higher level with a bigger club.
Yeah. Because then you stay in the top division, Premier League, whatever you like to say, whatever you want to call it. But did you feel a step up going to Hamilton, or did you just kind of feel kind of on the same wavelength?
Sideways, yeah.
Sideways,
yeah. And well, it was my hometown.
Yeah.
Yeah, and John Lambie came in for me, and I'd 4 spells with Hamilton, but my first one I was 15, and I left. I was doing okay, and I left. My dad said, "No, I'm not happy with you down here and other things," and so I left. And I always say, "Is it good to play with your hometown? You're in, you get beat. You're
right on your doorstep.
Yeah, you're right on your doorstep. You're in Hamilton. You're meeting the Hamilton fans, and that. To be fair, they were great with me. I loved it when I moved. It gave me because I thought at the time, can I do any more at Clydebank? And I remember we were playing Hamilton, and Hamilton had put a bid in for me. And Jack said, if Hamilton beat us today, you're not going to Hamilton, because that means that, I'm giving them you, and they've got every chance of staying up. We're fighting them for relegation.
Rival.
Yeah, rival. So I think we drew, but I think the Monday was away. So I went, and I had mixed feelings when I left. Happy to join in my hometown club. They had a good side. Alec Taylor, guys like that, and Jamie Fairley, all these guys. And I knew the guys. I all just played against them. I never played alongside them. And I'm playing my hometown. But yeah, it was a bit of a wrench leaving Clydebank. Although in my head I knew my time was up there. I could get the same feeling getting into pre-season training and saying, right, let's go. We're going to get this. We're going to have a right good season. I think when there's a time you say to yourself, right, time for a move, and time for you just recharge your batteries and get going against somewhere else. And as I says, I loved it at Hamilton, because I says you always want your hometown to do well, and with some good games there as well. Put Rangers out the Scottish Cup.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was on the bench that was my only disappointment with the manager at the time. But games like that, I made some right good games against Celtic and Rangers there. We'd always done well against Hearts, and we always seemed to do well against the bigger clubs. Then after we put Rangers out the cup, we come up against some other local rivals and lost. Absolutely.
So you're still playing in the top division in Scotland, where you should have been, and you rightly were, perhaps obviously at another club. So why the move out to Ireland?
I think after I left Hamilton, I went back to John Clark.
Right.
John Clark was the manager of Clyde, and John asked me to come and play, and I always liked John, always liked him as a person, and so I said, I'm going to give it a go. Back to him all. Well, we were actually sharing the ground at Firhill, because our stadium, we didn't have a stadium, and we played at Firhill. So John asked me to come back and join Clyde, and I went, and I really enjoyed getting back to Clyde. Older pros who were coming back. We had more of an older team, including myself, and the reason I went, because John had been at me a wee while. He said, why don't you come back to Clyde? And I said, right, okay. And I'm saying maybe my career's taking a full circle, but I have to tell you this, we were playing in a tournament up in Benbecula, Clyde, Ayr United. I think there was 2 Highland teams playing in it, and probably when we were going crossing the boat to Benbecula, and John was talking to me, and enjoying it, blah blah blah, and he says to me, do you know the time you're supposed to play, remember the trial match with Celtic at Fir Park? And I says, he says, do you know we were signing you right after the game? And he goes, and he says, we just wanted to see you in the game. He says, but we actually did the forums, and you signed the Hibs the day before it. And I looked at him, and I'm saying, and I'm looking into the water, and we goes, we're going the boat. I says, my dad had passed away by that time, and I'm saying, at least I don't have to go and break that news. I don't know if I told my dad that. Yeah. But he says to me, we're actually just going to sign you after the game. And I just, that, and I'm saying, he says, do you wish I wouldn't have told you now? I says, aye. But then I'm saying, on the other hand, I felt, well, he must have thought it was good enough.
I was just going to say that. Then do you feel almost like a validation that, I was of Celtic quality, of Celtic calibre, yeah?
Yes, then when I spoke to him about it, he goes, definitely that was with the forums. And I goes, right, okay. But as I says, it was good to hear it, but at the same time, what if
Aye.
what I've, but you know, probably there's many players that have played football and come up with that same era. There's, you know, stories that have happened with them, you know, they nearly signed with this and they could have signed with that. But as I say, that's probably the only regret, as I say, is never get a chance to really go and play at a top club. But apart from that, the people I've met in the game and still keep in touch with, and the great players I played against and played with, you know, I would never change that. I know the financial rewards are much better now, but you can't have the memories, you know, with the people you've met. But oh, you were sorry, I railroaded you there because we're talking about going to Ireland there.
I thought it's.
But that was it. That was my experience with Clyde again. But I'm glad I went back and played with him, you know, because I still, you know, I've still got keep in touch with a lot of the people who are still involved at Clyde. You know, I love to see them doing well. You know, so memories again.
Memories. That is what it's all about. But as you say, you went out to Ireland and you went back to Canada as well. What attracts you to Canada? Because that's, I think, is it three
spells I had in Canada, yeah. I was over there and when I left Hibs, then I went back, but the spell I went back, I'd already signed with Clyde the following year, and Craig Brown let me go over for the summer. Right. Only for a couple of months. He says, well, if you're going to go and play football and that, he says, just don't get injured, he says, and that's what you want to do. So I went back for a couple of months, because the pre-seasons, the close seasons at that time you were off for about 2 months or something. Mm-hmm. So it was a Scottish guy who asked me to come back and play with a club called Toronto Italia. Right. So I took my mate Jim Boyd, he was over as well with us, but he got called back because he was going to Motherwell, he was going to sign with Motherwell. I says, how's he getting a move and I'm still here? Anyway, then the third time I went over, it was Paul Sturrock who put me, he used to go over there coaching a place called Victoria, Vancouver Island. And it was Scottish guys that were running this team called Victoria Vistas. And I got a phone call out of the blue from someone who said, do you fancy coming over for the season? We're bringing another Scottish player over. It was Alan Evans. Alan who played with Villa.
Yeah, absolutely.
His family's going over, my family. He says, we'd like to bring the 2 years over. You know, we've got been looking for a bit of experience and you've been well recommended by Paul Sturrock. Obviously knew about Alan, you know, European Cup winner, champion.
Okay.
You know, definitely knew about Alan. So I said, fancy. So I got in touch with Alan and we met up and we went over. I think we went over in May, we come back and it was great. It was one of the nicest places I've ever been in my life. And my daughter was only 13 at the time, 12, 13. She just joined secondary school. And my other son, Denise was 13. Kevin was 9. And he loved it. He was in the school team and playing the school team. My daughter was missing her pals back home and she would get a wee letter now and again. And I was saying, we got a chance to go over there and stay. And even when the football was finished, and I'm saying this could be a great place to live. Great. Really? But my daughter couldn't sell. Aye. So that's what my return back home. Where he says, look, when they I was saying I was wanting to stay. My wife at the time, she said she wanted to stay. She said this would be great, and I'm saying, right, we'll stay. But for some reason, something was drawing me back, you know, so to speak. Absolutely. And my daughter, I think she just made her minds up. So Big Alan went away on to Australia. He went over there to do coaching in Australia, him and his family. He gave up everything. He was with Leicester at the time. Gave up everything to go over. Within 3 or 4 months, he was back in England, back in Scotland actually. And we just come back. Then I got a chance with Cork City. Absolutely, yeah. It was my friend Mick Conroy, who Mick played with Celtic. Yeah. And Mick was a player coach over there. And I met him at a coaching course. And he says, would you fancy coming over to Ireland? I said, I don't know, I've done enough travelling, you know. Every time I'm trying to settle down exactly. Somewhere. Just back. I'm just back for Canada, you're going to go to Ireland. So he says, why don't you come over? He said, for a couple of games, see how you feel. I says, right, okay. Right. So on the way over pre-season, played Chelsea on the Sunday, but I'd missed that game. I played Leeds United. Gordon Strachan and Gary McAllister that were playing with them. So I think they beat us 2-0. Then we played Celtic. Liam Brady was in charge and we beat Celtic 2-0. And I had this posse for Hamilton over. All these fans, they were all shouting to give me abuse on the park. I got some of them tickets and they gave me abuse. So after that game, they asked me to sign. I'm saying, I don't know if I can handle this, you know, because I was going over there myself and get home maybe once every 6-8 weeks. But the lure was they'd drawn Bayern Munich in the UEFA Cup. Wow. Right. Mike said, we'll get Bayern Munich UEFA Cup. He says, come over for a season, see how you feel. So I says, right, I'm going to give it a go. So I went over, and we got to the cup final that year. We played Bayern Munich. We get beat. We drew 1-1 in court with them.
Right.
We took them to a rugby ground, right? And the grass was up to the and big, excuse me, Alan McInally was with them at the time. But he was injured, but he's in our dressing room. He's going, they're rattled in there. They can't handle this. You know, they're looking at this. They're looking around.
Look at this grass. Look at this.
It was just like big scaffolds on fans hanging from scaffolds. Anyway, we scored after about 11 minutes, 1-0 up. Dave Barry, everybody's shocked, you know, and they equalised. We drew 1 each, so we took over the following week. We were back and went over to Germany, and when they came to Cork, they took over Jerry's hotel. They took up about 90 odd rooms. We're over there. I think we had about 5 rooms between everybody. They had rooms for the boots and their kit and everything. So anyway, we went over there, and I always remember it. We got to the Sheraton Hotel, and we got an invitation to go to the beer fest. This was on the Sunday when we arrived.
Yep.
The beer fest was on the Sunday, and the game was on the Tuesday. So big Alan McInally and that says, look, you didn't have beer fest. Bayern have got their own tent. You'll be all right. Just kind of a couple of beers and that. So what was that? The Irish boys. Oh, we're going there. So I says to Mike, you sure we should be going here? I says, we've got this game on Tuesday. I said, I'll just go for a couple of hours, you know, we'll make sure what we're doing.
Very good.
So once we get in this tent, right, and all the boys were just coming up with these big jars of beer and everything, and I'm saying, seriously? It was not Tuesday, so they're not giving it Yahoo. And for some reason, the press hated Stefan Effenberg over there. They thought, I don't know what they thought of him. So they're coming up, he put things in the paper, we're playing a team of old men and that, we'll take about 6 off them and all that, right? So saying this is a headline, do you fancy, you know what you've got to say about it? And they're trying to get the boys to put beer out his face and all that. And we're like, hey, hold up, we're getting set up here. I said, we're going to get set up. And the manager says, don't be doing anything stupid. So the boys are, you know, orchestrating the band and giving it Yahoo. I says to him, a couple of beers. But the next day we were training, right? So the manager gets everyone on the bus about 10 o'clock at night. Right, everybody on the bus, and the boys are trying to walk out with his big, walk. And they're saying, I says, we can't even see we're going to get done here. So anyway, on the bus, next day training, we're training right outside the Olympic Stadium. And the manager made a run for 2 hours. Run, we break, run. The Bayern fans were watching, they're saying, this must be a crazy, what they do is run, you know, never seen a ball. So anyway, the headlines in the paper was, Cork City prepare for their big game against Bayern Munich. Cork City's first training session and preparing for their big game against Bayern Munich, blah, blah, blah. So it says, if we go here tomorrow and we get beat, we're going to get slaughtered with the press. But anyway, a lot of the press was over. They were all giving it Yahoo and the usual. So anyway, we're driving into the pitch and into the ground and that. And we left, and Bertie Vogts actually came on our bus. He was staying at the Sheraton, so he came on, and us and the boys were all shouting, just usual, like a banner and that. And so they're all singing, get in the bus, and I was like, get in here. And you don't know what you expect, you know, because the Germans were, so they were still sore about the first result. Yep. So we went out and played the game, 0-0, half time. And the manager came in at half time, and it was up in the big lights. Bayern Munich 0, Cork City 0. He said, we've just sent shockwaves round the world. Bayern Munich 0, Cork City 0. And we were all, we hadn't even touched the ball, all we did was run, because we were just zipping the ball about. And we were like that. Oh, still the second half to go. So one of the boys just piped up, he was a funny guy, you know. He says, come on lads, we're on £100 a man here. Let's go. You know. And everybody just started laughing and that. And it just relaxed everybody, you know, and we went back out, and we actually had a great chance in the game. I think we were about 71 to score, and the ball came across to the boy I was saying, there was a funny guy, and he miskicked in front of goals, and we had about 7,000 fans there.
Jeez, oh.
But I think there's a lot of people who worked in Germany, and they were changing names, like the pubs was Gunter Murphy's, they were just changing it for a night so they could attract a company.
Absolutely.
So it was I think it was about 14 minutes ago when they scored. Then they got a penalty, the last kick of the ball, Christian Ziege, and the goalie nearly saved it. So we get a lot of plaudits, but coming off after the game and we're saying, thank God we didn't get to thank God, because they've been so the thought was just a Mickey Mouse team and over there and just for the socialising that, which wasn't the case. It was the case on the Sunday. You see some of the boys, but the way we played the game, it was the effort of them was just, and they were full of plaudits. The press was full of plaudits. Yes, and the best bit was after the game. Some of the boys had strips. I said, "You got a strip? I'm not got a strip. I need one in the strips." So the Germans are getting a rollicking because they only beat us 2-0. The manager, I think it was Jupp Heynckes. I think he was the manager, and he's giving them a blast in the dressing room. He's giving them verbal and shouting. Well, boy, just burst right into the dressing room, and the big hamper was lying in the middle of the floor, and they're just getting in and grabbing it. They're just lifting, coming out with socks, strips, and everybody, they just sat still and they're all looking, saying, "What's going on here?" The boy said, "Thanks for the strips," and then just whipped everything out, to make sure they make sure they had a souvenir. But the trip in itself, great experience. Yeah. Oh, what an experience, for a part-time club to go out there. Although some of us were full-time, to go out there and get a result against, you're like 3-1 in aggregate, the Germans. You just probably if they'd come away 6 or 7-1 in aggregate, you'd have said it's not a bad result.
No, it's not too bad, exactly. And then the career kind of just dwindles out, and the big move never really does come. When the career is dwindling out and you're just going like club to club, just kind of stoating about, is it tough to keep going, or is it more just, I don't want to hang up the boots, so whoever will take me, I'll go?
Right, when I come back, I'm trying to think now. When I come back, I was 37. I got an offer to go back out to Cork, but Mick Conroy, he retired. Mick says, "No, I'm not going to play anymore." So I said, "Well, if you're not playing, I'm not coming out." So I come back and I went to, who did I go to? You tell me, but was it Arbroath?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Arbroath. John Brogan, my friend, was the manager. Yeah. John, I went to school with John, and John was a prolific goal scorer. Played at Hamilton with John, and he says, "What do you think?" I says, "I don't know, John." He said, "Come on, try it." And I still wanted it, but I'm saying, but am I just playing out time? Am I really pushing the boat out now? Have I still got the legs for it? I still felt fit enough, but could I contribute what I wasn't going to be able to contribute what I did 10 years ago, but he says, "Look, the experience, and as I say, I felt as fit as any of the lads." So I went up with John up to Arbroath, although we trained at Perth, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the season. And at the end of the season, I don't know, did Brogy quit? I don't know if he quit. And I was going to stay in for another season. And I says, I think I've had enough, But I'm saying to myself, I think maybe because it was the travelling. And I says, I think maybe if I get some local, I'll stay local. And I end up going junior, Shelton. I think if you'll be able to tell me. I'll tell you what happened there. No, did it? No. I went over to Belfast in between, didn't I? I went to Glentoran. Yeah, I went to Glentoran, and see when I come back from Cork. Yep. Sorry, I would come back from Cork, and Cork wanted me back over, and I went up to the north. And Glentoran phoned me, so I went over there, and I had a season over there, and it was a great bit. The Glentoran were a big club over there, but it hit hard times financially, not just financially. The Linfield were throwing money at it, Portadown were throwing money at it, and they got left behind a wee bit. But I had a great season. I enjoyed it over there, and they asked me to come back for another season. Saying by the time I come back, I'll be 38, 39. No, I says, no, I'm not going to travel anymore. Although I was going over on a Thursday, I was coaching with Hamilton at the same time as well. I had a part-time job in coaching the kids at Hamilton, the reserves and that. Then I left. I still was with Hamilton. I was flying over on a Thursday, training on Thursday night with them, playing a game on Saturday and come back on a Sunday. So this went on for the season. Then they offered me an asset, and I says, right, no, that's it. That's how I went with Arbroath, and I come back and John Brogan asked me, says, come and play for another season. And when I left there, that was it. I says, right, no more. And I got a phone call from Shelton Juniors, and he says, you fancy another season? I says, no, I'm 40 now. Because I wanted to play, I was 40. Yeah. I always had it in the back of my head, but although I kept saying, I can't have had enough, but always something when the season's going to start again, Amy, you're like that. No, I want to be training, I want to be playing, I want to give it another go. I think I'm okay, because one day I'll not be able to do it. And I went to Shettleston. And the funny thing was, I went there, I played about 3 or 4 games. And Bobby Williamson phoned me. Bobby says, what are you doing? I says, I'm playing. He said, play with who? I said, I'm playing junior. When are you going to chuck it? So Bobby's a terrible. Bobby chucked it when he was 30 or something.
Yep.
He says, why don't you come and join me? He says, Alec Taunton's just been sacked, and they've asked me to take over at the end of the season. He said, we do well here, maybe someone come out of it. If we don't, at least you've given it a go. I said, Bobby, I've just signed with Shettleston. He said, you want to play with Shettleston? I'm giving you a chance to come in here and work full time with me at Kilmarnock. Is he serious? I'm going like that. Aye. And he goes like that, he says to me, no, he says, you can't, you know, he says, you'll do yourself in, you'll break your leg, you'll do something, you'll have a heart attack running about. I says, right, I'll come in one condition, you let me join in at the training.
Right.
And he says, aye, right, okay, right, just come in here. So I left Shettleston then the next day with Bobby, and we took a training at Kilmarnock, and I really enjoyed it. I think it was only in a couple of days at first. It was, and Jimmy Clark, along with Jimmy Clark, so 3 years, and we're sitting bottom of the league. And he says, look, we just need to try and get off the bottom of this league. If we stay up, we'll get a chance at this job, you know. And Bobby wanted to do the management side of it anyway. I still didn't, although I'd done my coaching badges, I was still, in my head, I was still like to play football, you know. But I was joining in the training that. So then we started to get a few results. And that year, we got to the Scottish Cup final.
Yep.
You remember that? And we won the Scottish Cup. We avoided relegation. Gary Holt scored against Hibernian, I think with 3 games to go, and it kept us up 2 or 3 games to go. And after that, was there 7 seasons. You know, when we won the Scottish Cup, I think we got offered a contract before we won the Scottish Cup, so it was quite, you know, I think they were trying to put us...
The job's safe, aye.
Yeah, the job's safe, so because we'd escaped relegation, and we got a 3-year contract, and then we get another 2, then we get another 2, and I'm saying, just shows you. Bobby says, you wanted to go and play the junior with Shelton? And I says, okay, I'll let you win. You've won that one, you know.
See that Scottish Cup, the win there, because you never had that major trophy win in your playing career. Does it still mean the same in that coaching capacity?
Yeah, well, I know what you're saying. Yeah, never won a major trophy, but at the time it felt, you know, this is huge. Yep. This is huge. When it really sunk in, Amy, was when we came down to John Finney Street, you know, after the game, and the crowd was phenomenal, fantastic, you know. You're just looking and you're saying, this means so much, and to achieve that in my first season in coaching, to win the Scottish Cup. I mean, guys have been coaching for 30 years, never won anything. For us to win it the first season.